Everyone, it's Brock Cannon here. I'm the founder of Kensho Studios and a going on 5-year certified Wim Hof method instructor. And I wanted to just jump on and just kind of give my personal opinion on some of the videos that are filtering and streaming around out there on the social media channels that are kind of what I would call anti-cold plunging videos and a bit of fear mongering as well. So before I get into some of that, I just want to say, first and foremost, cold plunging, as much as I love it, as much as it's really impacted and changed my life for the positive, I know it's not for everybody. And there are 100% certain conditions where it's much safer to avoid cold plunging than to try it. And nobody should try it just for the sake of hopping on board of a trend or something that looks sexy or fun or appealing on social media. It should be for health reasons and for mental health reasons. And so women that are pregnant should avoid it. People with serious heart conditions should avoid it. People that are prone to seizures should avoid it. And there's probably other people who should as well. And there's some new research coming out about even women at certain times of their cycles during the month. It can affect their hormone levels, not positively. So, it's the kind of thing where it's certainly not for everyone. But what I want to say is there's some doctors that are coming out who are traditional doctors for the most part that work for the medical establishment that, from my view, are seeing cold plunging as a threat. And Wim Hof has talked about this for decades now. Why would the medical establishment want to get on board to support something that is directly going against their agenda? If people are getting well from something that is free, like cold water, taking cold showers, hopping in a cold lake or a cold ocean, hopping in an ice bath, it doesn't really make them money. And if we look at history, typically anything that doesn't help make the medical establishment money, they're going to slander it. They're going to blast it. They're going to try to create false narratives around why it's dangerous, why it could even kill you. And sure, there was a video recently I saw from a doctor who was a part of the American Heart Association, he said, and there was apparently one case where somebody got in cold water close to 60 degrees, kind of went into a shock response and ultimately died. That can happen. But that is not the norm that is happening when people are cold plunging. So it's stories like that are circulating where they're trying to scare you. They're trying to scare you away from one of the most ancient, most basic practices that's been around for centuries, particularly in Nordic cultures and places where there's plenty of cold water. They're trying to scare you. And, you have to choose now, do you listen to that or do you listen to your body? Do you listen to the fear or do you listen to something that feels good to you? And certainly if you have one of those conditions, I would not recommend cold plunging. It's not safe. And, at our studios, the reason why we have a liability waiver up front is because of that. We want people to be informed that there's certain conditions where it's not beneficial, and they have to sign that and acknowledge that. And we always encourage people to speak to their doctor. But people should also be empowered to make their own decisions, to think for themselves. And if they've tried prescription after prescription, traditional modality, traditional medicine for decades, and they're still not getting better and they're getting sicker, why would you not try something different? Why would you not try something where literally millions of people around the world are now finding benefit? There is a reason why pioneers like Wim Hof have battled the medical establishment for decades, and they don't want him to keep speaking out. They don't want him to, empower other people to tap into the power of their breath and to tap into something as simple as cold water because it doesn't make them money. Now, are there people that are making money and benefiting from this new, visible practice of cold plunging? Absolutely, and I'm one of them. But, one of the main reasons why me and my wife started our studio was simply because I was going out and buying ice every single week. And it got expensive. I would spend $30 to $50 every time just to fill the 100-gallon Rubbermaid stock tank in my backyard. And I thought there's got to be a better way. So you can either buy a chest freezer, which is going to cost you close to $1,000 and has some, negatives to it as well. You could buy cold plunge, the actual Plunge brand, which starts at around $5,000. So I saw that as not in reach for every single person. They might not want to deal with the hassle of buying ice. So we started a studio where they can just come in and do their practice and go home and not have to worry about having it in their backyard or whatever. So yeah, I benefit from that. But if somebody tells me like, I don't have a dime to my name, but I can take a cold shower, that's amazing. If you have cold enough water, or I'm currently living in Florida, we don't have cold enough water to really get the benefit. But lakes, rivers, the Pacific Ocean, if you're on the West Coast, like there's places where you can access free cold water. And I would always encourage that. So is there profiting from the cold plunge craze? Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot more profiting going on in the medical establishment, a lot more fear mongering, them wanting to keep you sick and scare you from natural healing modalities that are actually getting results for thousands, if not at this point, millions and millions of people. So my advice to those that have kind of seen these scary videos that are coming out about cold plunging being negative is, why don't you just get quiet, check in with yourself, go inside of yourself and try it and just see how you feel. Try it for a month, see how you feel. Are there visible mental and physical benefits? See how you feel. The easiest way to see if you're getting physical benefits is if you can go get a blood test first. That's amazing. Go see where your blood markers are at. If your insurance doesn't cover it, just go to an independent lab and pay a couple $100 if you really want to know. See where your blood markers are before, and 30 days after you've cold plunged for, say, an average of 11 minutes per week, which is what the Huberman lab recommends. Dr. Susanna Solberg recommends 11 minutes per week, not per time, but per week. See how it goes. And after 30 days, take your blood again. And if you're seeing improvement, if you're seeing things like higher blood pressure going down and markers that had signs of inflammation before going down, then you know it works for you. Also, see how you feel mentally. If you're someone that really suffers from anxiety or depression or panic attacks, see if you have less of them. And if you feel good, then keep doing it. For me, I only got into this as a desperate measure to try to rid myself of anxiety that I was feeling in my life over 5 years ago. And the second that I got into the cold water, it wiped out that anxiety. I felt clear. I felt balanced. I didn't feel as moody and up and down. And I noticed if I don't go a day without doing some kind of cold water exposure, I start to get a little bit imbalanced for me. But that's just me. So do what works for you, but don't heed the fear mongering that is going around about cold plunging until you really, really give it a true shot. And then if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. You don't have to badmouth it, but it might work incredibly well for someone else. They might find incredible healing, and it might be the best thing that's ever happened to them. We need to all be able to think and feel for ourselves, which is why I really don't even watch the news. In fact, the fear mongering video by the doctor that I saw was sent to me by someone else. Hey, what do you think? I'm just not on those channels. I'm not consuming the fear. I'm just listening to what works for me. Wim Hof is the same way. When people told him he was crazy person, they thought he was a charlatan, he was a fraud. He had done it since he was 17 years old. He would get in the pond by his house in Amsterdam in the middle of winter every day, and he knew he felt better in doing that. He lost his wife to suicide, left him with 4 kids. This was his healing modality. It worked for Wim. It's worked for me. It's worked for thousands and millions of other people. Will it work for you? You have to find out. See what works for you and follow the feeling, as Wim said. Do what is best for you. Thanks for watching.